So sorry about the abrupt end of the previous video, but in the previous video, we logged in as admin, and so if you refresh, you can see um, that the second slot here has been personalized on basis of the age and the gender of the admin user. And you can also notice that the admin user has access to this next gen feature. And one of the things you can do is look at the output. So you can say as the rules are being executed, it will print out all the rules in the log. And the reason it's doing that is because if you look at the config utils, right? The way this works is, so let's go into the Lambda itself. So first thing you do is you click on load config API. This is a function that is defined in your code. You can always use the demo code. So in the demo code, we have this function called load config API. What it does is internally it calls our function. This is a function that you import from our library. So if you have to have this installed. There are two libraries you have to have installed: this one, and this is all in the documentation. But once you install it, you get access to this function. This function has a few properties. What it does is it gets you the config file that we stored in S3, and then you basically give it callbacks, right? And what it will do is it will execute this callback every. I think you can specify the cache duration. I think that the cache duration default is the 1 minute or 5 minutes, something like that. But you can specify it, right? And what this does is every time the cache expires, it will call this load config method. And what that will do is, and again, the implementation of it is up to you. In this demo, we're storing our configuration in S3, but that's by no means that's the only way to do this. You could store this in Dynamo, whatever. You could store it in GitHub if you wanted. What we do here, though, with S3 is instead of getting the config file every 5 minutes or 1 minute, whatever your cache duration is, we send a head object command to S3. And what that does is it tells you the last modified date of the config file. So what you can do is if the last modified date of config file is less than the last refresh time, you can just use the existing config. So you don't have to go to S3 and get the entire config every single time. And obviously, if the modified date is newer, you just go get the config file from S3, right? And we also have this log callback. This basically is a hook for you to do whatever you want with the log messages that come out of the rules engine. We console log it. You can do whatever you can. You can use your own logger or anything that works for you. So this is how you would load up the config file. And if you look at the rest of the Lambda, it's pretty straightforward. We use the API we have the get config value. And remember in the previous videos in Lambda, when you do the publish, you can copy these typings. And what these typings are these things. So that way, you're always referencing these values up to date. Your references are up to date with what's defined in Lambda Genie console. So I also defined some default values just in case the S3 API call doesn't work or anything of that nature. You want to have like a backup. But this is not required. I just like to have a backup just in case. And then we do the same thing with the featured products configuration value. And then remember we set up the homepage personalization rule. So we execute that rules engine. And because the rules engine requires the age and the gender, we don't have the age from Cognito. We have just the birth date. So we calculate the age on basis of the birth date. And and pass it to the rules engine. You could do some cool things like, if it's today's the user's birthday, you could have like a special discount or something. And then that could be configured in the rules engine. So you could define in the user profile something like is birthday, you know, and you can pass it into the rules engine, and then you could figure out like a discount or something. But and then again, the this is the rules engine for the slot 2. And then this is the rules engine for the feature flags. So let's try that out. Let's go back into our account. So now I logged in as admin, so I have access to this user, or to this feature. So let me log out and let me create an account that's not admin. So let me create like a john@test.com, and let me create a younger boy. That will make them 8 years old. Probably should not be on Amazon, but let's just test what happens. So this is John that we just created. You want to verify this user, confirm this account. Obviously it's not a valid email address, but we're just doing this for testing purposes. Click on email is verified. So now when you log in, what's going to happen is hopefully you're going to get, you see the products changed. And this is because we use the age and the gender of the logged in user to associate a different subcategory within the slot. So this is the rule that got executed, return boys, and those are the products that got picked up because of that second subcategory, right? And you'll notice that this user got the feature. And if you remember our original setup, we had said that only the users in this list are going to get the feature, but this user is not in this list. So what happened? Well, if you have been, if for some of you who have been paying attention, what is happening is, even though in the rules we have said we want only this list to have access to this feature, we have a variation in dev. Everybody has access to this, and this is why. So if I change this to production and save it, this should trigger a CDK deploy. It is fascinating how fast this is. This is actually deploying to the cloud. So now if I go back and refresh, so this is now like emulating production. It says, sorry, you don't have the access. But if I log out and if I log in as admin, hopefully it should say I have access to this feature. So you can see with a with a combination of feature flags, business rules, how easy it was for your business users to control a lot of these different aspects of your application. In the next video, we'll take a look at how your business users can configure what shows up in these slots and the discount items. So until next time, have a good one.